Okay, everyone, we're live for the MotoGP watch along. Thanks to all of you who are already here. To be honest, I wasn't planning on doing a watch along for MotoGP, but I love it and you guys wanted it, so here we are. Thanks to all of you in Discord and Twitter who have joined, and all of you who just are on the channel normally. Now, I do love MotoGP, and it could be a wet race, or at least a race in tricky conditions. So it's time. It's time to watch the madness unfold and watch the entertainment. Now, the warm-up lap is about to end, so we're going to see the race begin shortly. Let me know in chat your predictions, your expectations, etc, etc. But yeah, this should be a very fun race to watch for sure. So let's get stuck in. And this is going to start literally any minute now. I've left it a bit late, but hey, there you go. There you go. Let me just get all my links sorted out. Hopefully I didn't miss the start. Okay. Right, warm up. We're ready, people. Jorge Martin on pole position. I don't know why I did that voice. In the wet, I would love to see some bike changes here. I always find it so cool when they change bikes mid-race. Marc Marquez, even though of course he's come back from injury, we know that when the conditions get tricky, he can put one. Okay, 3 lights, they're on. 5 lights even. Very good start from the Ducati for the Pramac. Marquez with a very nice start as well, up into 4th. Quartararo stays 2nd. Very wide actually from Quartararo. There'll probably be very low grip out there. But still Jorge Martin, I believe. That is Martin, right? On pole. Also, who's still in 1st. Marquez fighting with Quartararo now into this very precarious hairpin. Quartararo now actually sends it to go up into 3rd place himself. Marquez follows suit. It's going to be a bit of a drag race, but for now, pretty clean start. Let's see if we'll get any more kind of wet weather or other kind of variables interfering with this race. To be honest, I've always found it interesting to compare how, for example, the drivers in F1 take the corners to how they do it in MotoGP. I think it's very odd, that middle sector. It's so different on the bikes. So different. And yes, me too. Johan Mir I do like. I generally don't really support. I used to support Pedrosa, but since then I've just kind of been a bit of a bandwagon. But anyway, it's Bagnaia P1. Jorge Martin 2nd, alongside his teammate Jan Zarco, so they're going to be squabbling it out. So far, pretty standard stuff. But I expect in the next 27 laps or so, we're going to see things escalate. Grip isn't amazing on this track from every indication I have, so you could be seeing some interesting moments as the race progresses. Let me get my headphones on. Further at the back, Rossi and Crutchlow both struggling on the satellites. Right, let me get my commentary on so I can hear what they're saying. So Pecco P1, Quartararo's actually plummeting down into 6th. But Iker Lecuona, I believe a Spaniard, is having a very lovely start. Very, very good start. I actually quite like him. I think he's quite underrated. He's got decent pace and up into P10 already. He's flying. I think we're going to focus on him. Maybe not. Okay, we're looking at Johan Mir instead. Marquez sends it up into 3rd place he goes. That's Alicia Spargo, who's gone very wide further behind. It's been a very, very hectic couple of laps here. And I think with that low grip, we're going to be seeing more and more of this kind of slipping and sliding as the race progresses. Lecuona's up into P8 now, so he's having an incredible start so far. Thanks to all of you, by the way, who are watching. I don't normally do these watch-alongs, but I thought, hey, you guys want it, so let's give it a go. Bagnaia still leads, though, as Marquez very late on the brakes. They're getting very close, up into 2nd, to Zarco in 2nd. Well, he's got a bitter exit there. Quartararo, meanwhile, going to work on Jack Miller, who I think we all know will be very excited with the prospect of rain. Jaka has a bit of a moment there. And ultimately, in these conditions, it comes down to who can take those risks despite the lack of grip. Zarco is defensive, but Marquez will be able to carry a lot more speed as a result. And Marquez does make the move off camera, but as I predicted, Marquez has got far more momentum. And these are the kind of conditions where where it's uncertain, where it's tricky, that Marquez can pull off a ridiculous performance. Zarco doesn't got the inside; he actually goes back behind the Spaniard. Does he make a move on the final corner? Not quite. Jorge Martin right behind Zarco in the Pramac, but it's still Bagnaia with a very, very solid start so far. No mistakes, keeping it consistent. You can see the power of that Ducati and Zarco as Martin goes up into P3. A very nice move there. And Zarco is looking a bit shaky here compared to some of his rivals. Quartararo, meanwhile, in P5 is going to be pushing, and he is, because he's just at the fastest lap. Let me see some of your comments if any of you are commenting. Not quite. Okay. I had like 50 people asking for a watch along, so maybe I should have ignored the ticks, but either way, Marquez now side by side with Jorge Martin. Martin goes up into P2. Lecona behind, still running very, very nicely. Miller is in the pack. I mean, realistically, the top 6 are all very, very close here. If there's more rain, it'll be fun to see, how the drivers adapt. But as it stands, it's been a very interesting race. And Marquez, Martin are looking very strong. But Bagnaia has been pretty faultless so far in the opening few laps. So there are a few drops, but of course not enough to go onto wet tyres, but definitely enough to affect the grip and the psychology of how much drivers are willing to take risks. Because when there's a few drops of rain in your visor, you're always thinking, do we really want to be taking the risks? Is there enough grip out there, especially on the paint on the curbs? So there's a top 5 now kind of breaking away. Miller is slightly losing touches, Quartararo and the other leaders. Now behind we've got, I think that's Oliveira making a move on Bastianini. It is. Oliveira, the Portuguese, up into P10. Marc Marquez getting excited on the throttle there. But the Ducati has got so much power. You can see Martin in that slipstream will be able to hold pretty nicely. As Aleix actually now overtakes Bastianini, who seems to be having issues, as Quartararo sends it and gets past Zarco, who is technically a championship contender. I mean, Quartararo looks pretty confident, like pretty secure in P1. But these two are technically contenders. So it's Quartararo then who makes the move on Zarco, and he makes it stick. Zarco is slowly losing ground here. Slowly losing ground. Nakajima all the way down in P14 after a very strong P4 last weekend. But Jorge Martin is looking very quick, and I think that he'll be looking to overtake his Bagnaia. And interestingly, basically everybody is on hard mediums, but Marquez is on hard softs. Possibly for that grip. But there's Martin in the slipstream. Will he go for the move in this final double camber? For now he doesn't. For now he sticks behind. As Oliveira now goes up to P9, and Espargaro overtakes Lecona, who's starting to, I think, lose some ground after his amazing start. So here they are in the slipstream. First Bagnaia, then Martin, then Marquez. Marquez will go for the move up into turn 1. Can he make it stick? He can. Martin leaves him just enough room. But that's a pretty iffy exit there from Bagnaia. So Marquez will be onto him, as will Jorge Martin. That Ducati, though, gets such good drive. It's incredible. Martin now is going to send it back up the inside, is he? No, he stays behind. Further back, you've got the KTMs battling. That's Oliveira now overtaking Johan Mir. Oliveira is making amazing progress here. Really good progress up the field. Mir in P8, not having the best of races so far. Having a pretty meh race so far. A cracked, great to see you, mate. To be honest, I was expecting more people to be here. Because like 50 people wanted to have a watch along. But maybe that was just for FE. But either way, I'll keep on going. I might as well, once I start something, I'll finish it. So there you go. A shame that no one else has joined. But either way, Martin getting very excited there, and that's cost him a bit of time. Quartararo is now all over him, and so is Zarco behind. Quartararo sends up the inside of Martin. Martin is able to let him through, but he'll go for the switchback. Will he send it back? No, he doesn't. So it's Quartararo now up into 3rd place. A pretty good start so far for Quartararo. No major mistakes, no hiccups, just doing what he does best, which is drive consistently. And I think ultimately in these first, 4 or 5 laps, the key is just avoiding any incidents, just staying in the hunt rather than trying to risk it. At this point of the race, with the conditions, you can't win the race, but you can definitely lose it, and I think that will be the key here. As a big mistake there from Marquez puts both him, Martin, and Quartararo all side by side into the end of sector 1. Martin and Quartararo getting very close, but Quartararo goes around the outside. Martin has a very sus aspect to the exit there, and Marquez can get on the throttle nice and early. But it's Quartararo, the championship leader, who makes the move on Martin and who's now in second place and looking, as though he's going to charge further up the field. So a very good last few laps for the Frenchman, who's had an amazing season, and as he is, he's going to get himself one step closer to winning the championship this year. And that's Martin, who's gone very wide. That's Marquez up into third place. A costly error for Martin, and both Martin and Marquez making a few mistakes over the past few laps. And it looks like we're seeing a bit more rain, so I'm going to expect to see some more insanity, some more incidents, some more chaos over these next few laps. Aaron, great to see you, mate. Hopefully you're also enjoying the action. But I was saying that the top 5 group that had kind of separated for itself has now gone. Similar is now right behind Zarco, and behind me you've got Mir, Binder, etc. All very close. So I think that the rain is going to still play a big factor in this race, and we are seeing some more drops of rain on track. So we could definitely see, I think, later on in the race, the drivers have to come in because the rain is intensifying. And even if we don't see that happening, the drivers are now having to cope with worse conditions as they start to deteriorate, as the rain starts to intensify. Quartararo for now stays behind Bagnaia. All fairly clean stuff into turn 3 there. But Quartararo here, as the commentators point out here, he's got the most to lose. He's got championship, to think about, and he's taking the risks, and he's driving phenomenally. So credit to him for not playing it safe and for showing his pace, regardless of the kind of points that he has to, to defend here. Jalou, great to you, mate. I hope that you are. And here's Quartararo for the lead, up inside of Bagnaia, and he's made it stick. So that's Quartararo now up into first place, but Bagnaia's going to come back up the inside, possibly very, very close. They would contact. Quartararo keeps the lead, but Bagnaia, I think, is very eager to get that first place back. So let's see, with that Ducati power, if Bagnaia can make the overtake on the Yamaha. And there's Bagnaia. Quartararo closes the door, though. As it stands, Quartararo's got a pretty handy championship lead, with Zarco down in P5. Let's see if Bagnaia can get the move done onto turn 1 with that slipstream, with that drive. And the Ducati is just so quick, and he's already side by side before the braking zone. Quartararo has a bit of a moment though, that's going to be him wide, and it is. He's lost a bit of time there for sure. He'll get, I'm sure, a track limits 1 and 2. And that'll give Pecco some breathing space, and that will draw the likes of Marquez and Jorge Martin back into it. But Quartararo goes defensive and maintains second place for now. So again, a small mistake there from Quartararo, and I think we're going to see, as the race develops, things become progressively intense, progressively close between these guys. Further down the order, Rossi's P17, Pol Espargaro P16. It seems as though nobody since Pedrosa's left a Honda has even come close to matching Mark, which is a big shame. But yeah, Pol Espargaro really struggling since making the move to Honda. Alex Marquez and Nakajima P13 and 14. They're quite far down the order, but they aren't really far off in terms of gap. As Rins gets past Leckrone, whose pace is fading. But given that Petrucci's P18, Leckrone is doing a very solid job, without a doubt, so far. So it's Quartararo now going defensive, as Marquez looks, as ever, very, very racy, challenging the Frenchman for that second place. And Marquez really has nothing to lose here. His hopes of the championship are pretty low, unless he can go on a massive run of race wins. So he's got nothing to lose, really. But Quartararo definitely does. Thanks to all of you, by the way, who are currently watching along. I don't do many of these, so those of you who are watching, I appreciate you guys a lot. As we have 19 laps to go here. Marquez is in the slipstream behind Quartararo. Quartararo goes defensive when Marquez goes on the outside, and he doesn't, but he'll get a very good exit after Quartararo's kind of defensive line there. So there's Marquez in the slipstream. It's a good driver there from the Yamaha driver, so I think he'll maintain second for now. Further back, Martin is still all over the back of his Spanish compatriot. And Zarco is still very much in the mix. So again, this is for now a waiting game. I think if you're Marquez, Quartararo, Martin, even Miller, there's no need to really take risks. Of course, if you can overtake, you should. But I think the objective here is just going to be avoid mistakes and stay in the race, because there'll probably be opportunities for further down the line if there is rain and as conditions change and as other riders struggle. On board now with Mark, who I think is just sticking behind Quartararo, not going for anything very, very risky at the moment. A bit of a gap there forming between Marquez and Martin. Martin will have to pick up the pace, but Marquez is for now staying behind, but he is getting very close now to the back of Quartararo's rear wheel. And right after this, we've got the F3 finale, so we've got lots of stuff to cover today. But here's Marquez getting very close to Quartararo. Quartararo defends, Marquez stays behind, but after turn 3, he'll have that good exit, that drive, and hopefully with Slipstream, for his sake, he'll be able to make a move. He's in the Slipstream. It's going to be close, but he doesn't dare go for the lunge. Martin claws back that deficit on the straights, as you'd expect in that Ducati. Jan Mir, meanwhile, very close to Miller, who is keeping within touching distance of this top 5, biding his time. Bagnaia there still in the lead, doing a very good job, keeping it clean, no real mistakes. And after Quartararo overtook, he kept his cool. He had the pace, then the racecraft to go right back up the inside, and he's now back in control of this race. We're now on board with Jan Mir, who's going to make the move possibly on Jack Miller here. They're getting very close. Miller slightly moves, but Jan Mir is looking very, very good. And he's actually on the medium, so he should be having more grip than those on medium hard. Jan Mir now getting into that rhythm that he infamously can just get into after laps tumble down in the race. And he's looking far quicker than Miller, who's currently occupying that 6th place. And you can see there's a gap forming again between Zarco and Miller. So Miller really not able to keep up. I mean, he is still in contention without doubt, but Jan Mir might be wanting to make the overtake and bridge that gap if he can. Miller, though, will be very hard to overtake, of course, with that Ducati engine. You've got Radbinder there, P8, doing a very good job for KTM, ahead of his teammate Oliveira. And Aleix Espargaro in P10 for Aprilia. And that's Miller being passed by Jan Mir, a small mistake from Miller. And Mir will have to now try and draw out a gap in the final sector so that on the start-finish straight, he doesn't get overtaken, basically, with the ridiculous straight line speed of that car. Still Bagnaia then, P1, ahead of Quartararo, Marquez. We're still waiting to see, will there be more rain, will there be less, and how that could impact the race. Jan Mir is starting to close on the pack ahead, so I think that he'll be a factor in this race for sure. He's now cleared Miller, he's got clean air, so I think he'll have a chance to catch up to the leaders, especially if the likes of Quartararo and Marquez start kind of impeding each other. That's a bit wide from Quartararo, a bit deep. So that will allow Marquez to gain. But Quartararo came in hot, but he was able to still carry some decent momentum. Now, none of the drivers, though, are looking very confident at the moment. Jan Mir is going well, but I think the top 5, top 6 are all running at a similar pace. The Marquez, as ever, looks very racy behind Fabio. Thank you for the sub. Thank you very much for the sub, Martina. Muchas gracias. Honestly, I don't do many of these streams. Actually, this is my first ever MotoGP stream. So if you're watching, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And let me know if you are in chat and if you're listening, who you want to win and who you think will win. Because there's realistically many drivers still in contention. As I say that, Martin has lost touch to Marquez slightly, and the top three are now starting to get away. Aleix makes the move on Oliveira for P9, and is that Luca Marini up into P14? That's a very nice move for him. Panagiotis, great to see you, mate. Oh, mate, that's fine. It's great to have you back. I hope that you're well rested, mate. Just doing a little watch along, and I'll be doing one more after this for the Formula E. Marco, great to see you, mate. I think I'm gonna back Marquez. He hasn't won much this season, and in these conditions, he tends to be that animal who can just find a result. But Marco, thank you so much for watching and for commenting. I really appreciate it. But yeah, I'm gonna back Marc Marquez, even though I'll admit he can be a bit, hit and miss. And since of course the injury, he's been a bit, he's been trying to find his form. But I'm gonna back Marquez here. Bagnaia, though, who we're both kind of ignoring in our predictions, he's looking very good, very consistent, no mistakes. So I think that he'll definitely be a challenger for sure. Paul Espargaro makes me off to P15. Yeah, I think it's just a matter of Marc Marquez is the only man that can really handle that Honda properly. Paul really struggling. A shame. And he's actually been passed again by Marquez, so no points for Paul at all. Yeah, that's true. The Ducati is ridiculous in a straight line. It's ridiculous. I'm just banking on maybe there being rain, and then Marquez makes the switch, or he doesn't at the right time. But with 14 laps to go, we're at about halfway. So if the rain is going to come and is going to play a part in this race, it's going to have to come soon. Of course, controversial that Vinales isn't racing this weekend. His own team, Yamaha, don't want him to race because of irregular handling of the car, of the bike. I don't know. It's very odd technicalities. Some very dark and frankly confusing things being implied there. But yeah, no Vinales, who to me, since being in MotoGP, hasn't quite kicked on. He's shown potential, of course, but he hasn't really been that guy. It's been all Marquez, and recently Joan Mir, of course, won it, and Quartararo has kind of emerged as the next best, or at least currently as the best. So Vinales, a bit of a bittersweet, bittersweet. Jorge Martin now is about 1.5 off the top three. The likes of Marquez, Quartararo, Bagnaia are now kind of extending, so these three could be fighting for the win, very, very likely, come the end of the race. Further back, Joan Mir is actually catching Johan Zarco. And Mir, of course, having passed Miller a few laps ago, he's got decent pace. I'm not sure if he's quite as quick as our leaders, but I think that he'll definitely be able to clear Zarco and potentially Martin, who is slightly dropping off here. That's a pretty big moment there from Binder, getting very loosey goosey there on the bike. Yeah, that's actually a really good comparison, Panagotis. Yeah, I agree. It's just not been quite there. I think, frankly, given how old Rossi was, Vinales wasn't really beating him as comfortably as he should have been. And now with Quartararo there, Quartararo just looks better. He is better, simply put. Vinales is a bit hit and miss. His race pace, is good sometimes, but his qualifying often lets him down. So I don't know. It's just a bit off for Vinales. There's no doubt that there's obviously a very good rider in there, but I'm just not quite sure if he's that elite level of, say, Marquez, Quartararo, even someone like Jack Miller, for example. Things get very close there. Retirement then for Enea Bastianini. A big shame for him, but what can you do? These things happen. These things happen. He wasn't really in contention anyway. I think he was in the lower end of the points anyway. So a shame, but not a massive loss there for him. I don't think he'll be too distraught. Oh, Zarco's off. And that's Zarco, who's meant to be, who is a contender for the championship. That's him off. And that really puts Quartararo in now pole position here. If he can just keep it on track, he'll extend his championship lead pretty comfortably there. He'll have a 50-plus point gap there. That really could be game, set, and match for Zarco's championship hopes. So Zarco off then. Zarco off. Let's have a look at how he did fall off. Yeah, just typical crash. Lost the car underneath him. And that's him off. That's him off. Well then, that's a significant that's very important for the championship. Quartararo is now really in control. You'd expect him now to just drive clean because he knows that his main rival is out. It would be silly of Quartararo to take any risks here. It's Martin now who's in a very comfortable P4. Mir is closing slightly, but I think they've got pretty similar pace. And Marquez all over the back of Quartararo, who himself is hounding Bagnaia. So we're going to see a very saucy end here, I think. With 9 laps to go, the rain that we were promised as in F1 seems to have disappeared. But here's Marquez in the slipstream behind Quartararo, getting very close there on the onboard. Quartararo breaks very, very late. I think he'll have to go wide, and he does. Quartararo makes a very big mistake there as Mark goes up the inside. A massive mistake from Quartararo there, a massive mistake. Well, not massive, but pretty a significant one. I think braking a bit too late to try and maintain second place. And that now puts Mark in P2, and he'll now be hounding Bagnaia with 9 laps to go. Let's see if Martin or Mir behind can close in. But you could just tell that he was going deep from the beginning. He just kept the car, the bike straight to avoid any off, and he's back on track. Will we see Marquez now going to make his move with Quartararo now slightly detached from that mistake? Could we see Marquez trying to make the move and break away now? Martin has actually gained a little on Quartararo through the middle sector, so let's see if Martin's just been saving some tyre for the final stage, which really now this is the final, the final third of the Grand Prix. Thanks to all of you who are still watching, by the way. I really appreciate you guys. We've got a notification here. Bagnaia. Okay, team communication there. I think that this is now where the race is won and lost. This is the important phase of the race. And drivers are going to have to keep it clean. Or I should say riders, keep it clean. But the thing is, overtaking Bagnaia in a straight line will be a nightmare. It's like when Marcus and Dovizioso would battle. That Ducati at this track, it's just a match made in heaven. The Ducati is just so quick. It's just so quick. Marc Marquez, I think, as we all know, he's had a tough year coming back from injury. I can't see a universe where Marc doesn't send it. But just on the straights, the drive that Bagnaia gets is ridiculous. And I'm not sure that Marcus has an answer for it. Because you can't really do much apart from brake very late, which Marcus, I think, is doing. He's very, very hot. He goes slightly wide there. Oh, but he's been able to cut back. Marc Marquez on the inside. He's got amazing drive. And will he be able to defend? Here comes Bagnaia now with that ridiculous power on the Ducati. And Bagnaia makes the move again. That was a small mistake from Pecco. And it looked as though Marc was going to be able to break free and make the move. But the Ducati's just so quick on the straight line. Now, in the middle sector, in the S section, will Marquez send it? Will he? No, he doesn't. This is MotoGP. This is now the saucy part of the race. Then there's more rain falling. This is now getting ridiculous. Okay, this is now what you're expecting when the lights went out. This is the drama. This is the spectacle. This is the suspense that we were foreseeing. And it's now time to put that hammer down. Marquez versus Bagnaia. From now to the flag, with Quattraro still very much in this. Let's see how things develop. Oliveira off. That's going to bring out yellow flags. A shame for him because he was running in good points there. So for now, the race has kind of stabilised here, I would say. We haven't seen any massive development. It's just been Marc staying behind. You reckon that he'll leave it to the last 1 or 2 laps? Yeah, I think that we're going to be seeing a very, very tight last few laps here. And they're making an early change for wets here. That's a very, very early change. With just 5 laps to go, I question, is it worth making that stop? Surely with just 5 laps to go, it's too early. Surely they're going to be able to make that time back. That wasn't a great stop. So it's Miller and Rins in the pits for those new tyres. But I really wonder, is it too early? Is it too early to do that? So far it's Rins and Miller who have come in the pits to change their tyres. But there's 5 laps left, so the question is, will the rain get heavy enough in these last 5 laps? That is the question, guys. Yeah, Marco, I've seen. And yeah, Nathan, I agree. That's Marcus getting very, very close to... Oh, you can see Marc having a bit of a moment down the rear end. You can see the lack of grip. Lecuona's up into P8. Nakagami, P9. Will we see anybody else dive into the pits with so few laps left? You'd presume that they'll just try and hang on for now. Let's compare the gaps of Rins to the leaders. And as Quartararo's going to go up the inside, Quartararo makes the move on Martin. Martin battles, and things are getting interesting here. The gap isn't updating, so we can't see if the wets are faster for now. So we've now got 6 drivers all fighting for the lead. You've got Johan Mir there. Behind you've got Binder. It's all kicking off here. It's all kicking off. Everyone's very close. We've got 4 laps to go. Quartararo really on the brakes. He's going to send up the inside. It's very close. They're still side by side. Quartararo for now takes and remains P2, but you've got the Ducati power is going to be coming. His Bagnaia and his Jorge Martin side by side into the hairpin. Quartararo breaks latest, and Martin goes up into 3rd place. That's wide from Bagnaia. He'll be under risk now, under attack from Brad Binder, who's come from nowhere, and Johan Mir is also now in the mix. We've got 6 drivers from Marquez to Mir, all with a chance here, and that's a move potentially from Bagnaia, but it's actually Binder's going to go around the outside. Bagnaia and Binder side by side. Bagnaia holds on. Martin's going to go up the inside. Bagnaia overtakes 2 cars and 2 bikes in 1 corner. Bagnaia P2. 3rd is Martin. Quartararo waves his hand. Oh, actually, they're going to come into the pits. They're coming into the pits. They're coming into the pits. Okay, the rain's intensifying here. But Miller and Rins are currently losing time to the leaders. So we'll see now if now is the time to change. And Marquez goes into the pits. But who stays out? It's Binder. Brad Binder stays out. Oh, what a race. I love MotoGP. I love MotoGP. What a race. What a finale. Everyone's in the pits. They've all followed Mark. But Binder stayed out. So has Nakagami. And so has Lecuona. And then we're going to see now as they cross the line. So Nakagami and Lecuona have stayed out on those drives. And I think the right call from my reckoning is to stay out. That's the right thing to do, because there's just 3 laps. If you can hang on for now and take that risk, then you can get a podium. So Lecuona's gone on the order. Has he fallen off? I think that Lecuona may have fallen off or crashed. So it's Brad Binder who leads. Espargaro second. Nakagami P3. Rossi P4. Binder... Bagnaia already has that slipstream, but Marquez breaks so much later. And that's very, very wide from Bagnaia, who's misjudged his braking point. Now it's going to be a battle of who can adapt, who can keep it on track. Nakagami's losing places, so I think, guys, it is time for wets. It's too wet. It's too wet now for dries. So let's see what the likes of Marquez can do. Miller and Rins, who came in earlier on, they are still behind this lead group. The question now is, can Marquez, etc., gain on the leaders? Can Binder hang on? Can Aleix hang on? Binder staying out on track, and all that Binder has to do now is keep it clean. Avoid any incidents, just keep it on the black stuff. Avoid those curbs which have no grip. The graphic unfortunately doesn't show, or as in the gap isn't updating for say Binder to Marquez. But now Binder's gonna have to just drive ultra conservatively, keep it clean. Aleix Espargaro is in P3. Lecuona is actually in P4, so that must have been a timing glitch. So now it's Valentino Rossi in P3. Lecuona in P4. Martin, Nakagami, Marquez all behind. Could we see Rossi taking his final podium in the series? Marquez is going quickly and he's gaining on Binder, but with just 2 laps to go, it could have been just too early. Let's see if the rain intensifies. Lecuona and... Oh, and that's off! That's Marquez off. Marquez off. He's managed to keep it on track. But it was, to me, there wasn't enough time. They've gone, they came in for wets, but there's only 2 laps to go. So that's Marquez, who's really going to get 1 point if he's lucky. Let's see if Binder keeps on track. Lecuona goes up into 3rd place. But now it's going to be about just keeping it on the black stuff. Keeping it on track. If you're Binder, Aleix, and frankly anybody still out there. You've got Lecuona possibly going to take his first ever MotoGP podium. He's ridden fantastically all race. But it's Binder now, who's extending the gap to Aleix, who's driving fantastically, and frankly, who is still very, very quick. There's Lecuona. There's Rossi in P5, who's actually lost P3 to the Spaniard. Vamos, Iker. Let's get that podium. Leclerc just trying to keep it on track, and he's doing that quite well so far. The rain is coming. Leclerc he's getting onto the wet bits. It's so unstable out there. They've just got to try and keep it on track, avoid incidents, avoid crashing out. Binder goes ultra wide, but he is struggling for grip, as they all are. And that's, I think, Paul Espargaro who's gone off. If Binder can bring it home, that would be incredible. Oh, look how wide he's gone. There's no grip out on track. There's no grip at all. Espargaro's coming to the pits, but he's kind of relevant with all due respect. But now it's going to be which of these guys can keep it on track, which of the drivers can just avoid incidents. Petrucci's lost the place to Bagnaia. The rain has just really come 1 or 2 laps too late for those who have already come into the pits for wet. And there's Aisha Spargo struggling. Leclerc's got pace. Leclerc's still firing. And Leclerc's going to go for a move. Is he? Will he go for a move he wouldn't dare? It's a very, very slow Aisha Spargo here. It's a Spargo P2. Leclerc. Oh, he's had a moment, but he keeps it on. Leclerc's for sure faster than Aleix. But it's not just about surviving. Will Leclerc go for a move? Don't you dare. Don't risk it, Leclerc. But Leclerc's going to risk it. Leclerc is going to go up into second place. Amazing overtake from Leclerc, who's now in second. I wanted to go podium so badly. Aleix is struggling. And Marine now is going up. You can see further behind the pace of Bagnaia. He's flying. Can Binder hang on? I think he can. Oh, you can see the guys behind gaining. Oh, it could be too late. It could be too late for Leclerc. Binder is going so slowly, but he's going to win the race. It's P1. It's the race win for Brad Binder. Bagnaia is now second place. Now I have to see. Leclerc goes wide. That's his podium gone. That's such a shame. I'm so gutted for Leclerc that he couldn't hang on for the podium. It's Bagnaia P2. Jorge Martin third. Mia takes P4. And it's Leclerc who's going to take 6th behind Martin. That's a ridiculous Grand Prix. That's a ridiculous race. Brad Binder, a legendary effort. An incredible race that will not be forgotten soon. Ridiculous race. Leclerc as well. Martin doing fantastically. Marquez could have very easily won that race if he'd kept it on track, but he didn't. Marquez just can't keep it on track nowadays. He can't keep it on track. But that's an insane race. Ultimately, the rain got very heavy in the final lap, and that kind of robbed the likes of Leclerc from hanging on. But Binder did a ridiculously good job. Right, guys, I'm going to end the stream now because I'm going to be doing a live stream for the Formula E in a minute. But thank you so much for watching. Hopefully, I'll see you guys for the